Here's a secret most travel guide won't tell you. China in 2026 is nothing like what you think. As a Chinese, I've been traveling between US and China for over 10 years now, and I have watched 95% of first-time travelers make the same mistakes that ruins their trip. In this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid those mistakes and break it down what actually stresses you out, including visas, apps, cashless payment, navigations, and transportations, and how to see a doctor if you get sick. Let's dive in. First, let's get your entry sorted. In 2026, the rule has been simpler than ever. Most tourists need an L visa, but now 50 countries get a 30-day visa-free enter, including Canada, Australia, UK, and most European Union countries. This is valid through December 31st, 2026, but definitely check if your country is on the list before planning your trip. For US citizens, if you are transiting through China, which means if you are going to China to go to a different country, then you get a 240 hours of visa-free period. For example, if you land in Shanghai, then you go to Japan, then you technically have 240 hours of visa-free period in China. I'll link the rule details in the description. For those of you who need a visa, get your passport ready. Your passport needs to have at least 6 months valid period and 2 blank pages. Then you need to go to this link and fill out the COVA form online and then print out the barcode page. Then submit your passport and all your documents in person at a Chinese embassy or visa center. If where you live right now does not have a Chinese embassy, there are a lot of third-party services that you can mail them your documentation and they will submit it for you. Wait for 4 to 7 business days. So usually when I apply for my families, I will apply a month early because delay can happen. Now you got your visa, time to book your flight. I always book my flight to a main hub in China and book my connection flight when I'm in China because you get cheaper price and much more flexibility that way. You never know how long the custom process is going to take. And if the first flight is delayed, it's very likely you're going to miss your second flight. Once you are in China, there are some small airline providers that's not necessarily partner with your main flight provider. So you can select them as your option, or you can just take the high-speed train. And if you are first time in China, the main hub are worth exploring anyway. You used to fill out those little paper sliver on the plane or when you land, but now it has gone 100% digital. So now you have to go to this website to fill out your entry form before you get to the port. Then when you land, you will see those machines that will take your fingerprint. You have to scan the barcode from the entry form you filled out, and then they will take your fingerprint on the spot in those machines. I will definitely recommend to do this before you get on the plane or when you are in flight if you have Wi-Fi, because this is required before you get there. The rest of the custom process is pretty standard. You will go through a line, see an agent, they will ask you a couple questions and they will let you through. And then after that, you will declare the things you need to if you have plants, live animals, or meat or food with you. But I would definitely recommend to absolutely avoid anything you need to declare as much as possible. You just add another unnecessary process if you don't have to. And this time, the experience I had in Shanghai was so good. They opened up a special line for family with kids and people with disabilities, so you don't have to wait in line at all. The service is top notch in Shanghai, which made this process so much easier. So yeah, definitely if you need any special assistance, just ask anyone for help. Everybody is so friendly in the Shanghai airport. Now you are in, but how do you stay connected? It's not as simple as just turning on roaming. As you might have heard, a lot of apps like Google or Facebook you are used to is banned in China. So stick around for the workarounds. Depending on which country you are from, your home SIM card might work, but it's usually very costly, around like 10 to 15 or even $20 per day. The better option is eSIM or a local physical SIM card. I've tried both, so I'll break it down which one is the best for you. For a short trip, 1 to 3 weeks, eSIM is your best friend. Activate it when you land. It takes about 5 minutes and the average only costs about $5 per day. The advantage of this option is you also get a free VPN and you get to keep your home number. But from my experience, this option sometimes can be a little bit unstable. You can get disconnected, or the eSIM doesn't work, and there's nobody to help you because if you don't have any network, you can't even contact them to help you. Sometimes rebooting would work, but it just depends on the situation. I have used Airlo, Holify. I think those both work okay. So yeah, just pick your own provider. For a longer trip that's about a month or more than 30 days, I would grab either a local eSIM card or a physical SIM card from one of the big providers, China Mobile or Unicom. Unicom is the only provider who has an eSIM card right now. If your phone does not take a physical SIM card, then Unicom is your only option. You can take your passport and your hotel address to one of the booths in the airport. They usually have booths in the arriving hall. To tell them what you need and they will set it up for you. This option usually costs about $20 to $25 for a whole month. You get about 150 gig to unlimited data, depends on which provider you choose and what plan you choose. The advantage of this option is it's very reliable, and if anything happens, you don't have a connection, there's stores everywhere. You can just walk in and have them fix it for you, and it is very cheap compared to other options. But the disadvantage is that you don't get to access your home network, so you have to purchase a VPN separately and set it up. Now, VPN, everybody asks about VPN because it is a little tricky. The myth is you need a VPN for internet to work in China. No, you don't. You can use the local network for any of the Chinese app. You just can't access foreign apps like Instagram, Google, Facebook, or WhatsApp. And here is a caution. VPNs are technically illegal in China without the government approval, but most tourists use it without any issue. I personally use one as well. Just be smart about it and don't be reckless. Download your VPN before you get to China because you cannot download them when you get here. Since you need a VPN to access a foreign network and you don't have one, then you cannot download one. And for local apps, I would download them and set them up before you get here as well. The only thing is, if you are planning on switching to a local phone number, I would wait till the phone number is available before setting them up, since all the apps are linked to your phone number. If you can access the phone number when you are here, then you basically cannot access the app as well. And I will link the VPN I use in the description as well. The pro tip, test your VPN before you get here and store all your important documents offline on your phone, such as your passport page, your visa page, your hotel address, your hotel phone number. You never know when you need them and if you will have internet. Okay, let's talk about money. This is the where 90% of the first timer get stuck. China is the most cashless country on earth, and they rarely use credit card. From department store to street vendor, everybody uses tap to pay. With most foreign credit cards to be a hit or a miss, it's good to have a backup option. I usually only bring about $50 worth of cash with me in case of emergency, but for the most part, we use WeChat Pay or Ally Pay for everything. Ally Pay is your main app. It's accepted everywhere. In 2026, you can link your Amex, Visa, MasterCard in Ally Pay directly. Put a screen over here to teach you how to set it up. It's pretty straightforward. They both have English interface, and then you just need to follow the prompt and set them up. WeChat Pay can be a secondary payment option, but sometimes WeChat lock you out because security issues, and it can be a pain in the ass to be unlocked. So definitely download both those apps and set them both up. But where WeChat really shines is everything else. In WeChat, you can select mini program to buy train tickets, to purchase attraction tickets, to pay for your phone bill, or to add people as friends without giving out your phone number. This is like WhatsApp on steroids. Now you know how to pay, but how do you get around in China? Chinese public transportation is truly next level convenient. First, Google Map does not work. Even with a VPN, just do not waste your time. Do not even try to use it. They don't have the most up-to-date anything, and just don't use it. The best map to use is A Map or Baidu Map. Baidu is a Chinese Google. They both have full English interface, voice navigation, and show exactly which subway exit you need to take. What's even cooler is you can order a taxi directly in the map. Just select your starting point and your destination. You will see an option to call a taxi, and the app will show the estimated price for the ride. Translation. Usually, WeChat built-in translation works really well. You just have people talk and then translate it on the spot. Google Translate doesn't work that well for Chinese. The other option could be Baidu Translate if you want to download another app. All right, train and airline ticket. You can book train and airline ticket directly in Alipay. High-speed train is the best way to travel between cities that's nearby. It's way easier than taking a flight, and flight is mainly used for like long distance travel. If the train is under 5 hours, that will be hands down my first option at all time, because if you factor in going to the airport, going through security and all that, it will take about the same amount of time, and train tickets is usually cheaper than the air tickets. When you book your tickets in Alipay, you don't need to go get a physical ticket at the train station. You just scan your passport and they will let you in. For the high-speed train, the economy class is very budget-friendly. First class is more spacious, and the business class is actually better than the first class in a separate room altogether. But personally, I think first class is the best bang for your buck, because the business class is an enclosed small area. And for those of you who have kids or want to be able to like walk around if you're riding for a long time, it can be a little cooped up feeling. So the overall pro money tip is to purchase your inland ticket in Chinese app. It's much cheaper with more options. Now we talked about how to get around between cities, but within a city, the best way to travel is usually subway. Most major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, they have very extensive metro system that never have traffic jam, that's rarely delayed, and it's very cheap to travel. They also all have English sign. So I think that's the best way to get around. You will use your WeChat Pay and Alipay Metro QR code to scan in and scan out. There's no need to purchase a physical Metro card. This QR code is one code per city. If you're in a city that doesn't have a metro or subway is too cumbersome, you can take taxi, use Didi within Alipay, or just call taxi within Baidu or AMap. Now, where to stay? How do you find a hotel that won't disappoint? Book your hotel via trip.com is your best bet. They have full English interface and best cancellation policies. Stay in the center of a city or near a metro area will save you tons of time, especially during rush hour. Chinese hotel is much better value than a lot of other places. Usually around $50 to $75, you can get a 3 to 4 star hotel standard or even better. Okay, food. That's the best part of traveling to China. The food is so good here. No matter which city you go to, it's always one thing that gets me so excited. It can be a little intimidating at first because you are seeing things that you probably have never eaten or don't know what it tastes like or don't know what to expect. But different from the US where most restaurant menu does not have a picture, in China, most restaurant menu has pictures. You can just point and order. And here is a fun one. China has the best food delivery services I have ever experienced. You can order food, groceries, medicines, anything you can think of from Alipay, and you will be delivered to your room within 30 minutes. Just select what you want to order and use the location locator to deliver to where you want it to, or just go to the front desk and ask somebody to help you to set up the delivery address. It will show up in your doorstep in no time, and sometimes it's even delivered by a robot. This one I have never seen anybody talked about, but it's a recent thing that I have experienced. If you get sick in China, it's so easy to get seen by a doctor. You can just book an online doctor in Meituan. Also, I will show you here as well. The wait line is usually 3 to 15 minutes, and then they will ask you what your symptoms are. You can send them pictures of your symptom or just describe it, and they will give you a prescription online, and that prescription will be filled by Meituan as well. So you can just click and pay, and then the medicine will be delivered to your room as well. The fee to see a doctor online is about $3 to $5, so it's so convenient. Here is a pro tip for this section. Pro tip 1. Most street food are safe to eat. Usually just spot the ones that was local who is eating there. They know where it's best place to eat. 2. No tipping. Tipping is not expected and sometimes will even be considered a little weird unless you are in a luxury hotel or some places that seeing a lot of American guests. 3. Tap water is not safe to drink. Do not drink the tap water. Always drink from a bottle or boiled water. 4. Your server is usually not a fixed person. They usually don't come back to serve you after they deliver your food. If you need anything, just grab anyone or just get up and serve yourself. 5. Most sit-down restaurant portions are shareable. In China, instead of ordering one dish per person, we usually order a lot of dishes and everybody shares. 6. This is very important. Bring tissues with you. Not all restroom has tissues, so bring tissues with you everywhere. You will get super awkward if you don't have any. And 7. Most pharmacists will see you. It's not like an officially see you, but if you go into a pharmacy and say, I feel sick, my throat hurts, or like I'm sneezing, or things like that, they will recommend you over-the-counter medicine, and you can purchase it on the spot. And a lot of pharmacists are medically educated as well. Okay, is China safe? I think China is one of the safest country for travel. Violent crime in public is very rare. I can comfortably walk alone at night in most cities, but in case of emergency, you should remember the emergency number 110 for police, 120 for ambulance, and they both have English operator as well. That's it. You now have everything you need to travel to China in 2026 with confidence. China is an incredible country full of history, culture, and surprises, and you are ready to experience it. If this guide helped you, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I post weekly travel videos and my personal experiences. And drop a comment below, where are you traveling to first in China? Beijing, Shanghai, and which city are you interested in? Let me know. I will answer every single comment and share everything I know. Don't forget to save this video in case you need to rewatch it before you travel, and share this with your friend if they are planning on travel to China. They will thank you for that. Safe travels. I will see you next time. Bye.